Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to go over my ever-evolving winter steelhead gear kit. Now, as I previously mentioned, I'm dedicating December to winter steelhead, starting with a 5-part series I've titled Steelhead Stories. I've already released part 1, the Steelhead Gauntlet. If you haven't watched that, I would recommend doing so, even if you do so after the video. I'll put a link up above. And that video just goes to show how important good winter steelhead fishing gear is. So to get started, what I'm referring to when I'm talking about my gear kit, I'm talking about my clothing, my waders, my wading jacket, my chest pack, some of the tools that I'll be carrying when I'm on the river. Next week I'm going to release a terminal gear video, so I'll go over hook, line, sinker, all that kind of stuff, just because it would be too much to put in one video. So watch for that next week. To start out with, one of the most important things of a winter steelhead gear kit is a pair of waders. Now, I have a drift boat, but most of the winter steelhead fishing I do is from the bank, or I should say wading. So you need a good pair of waders. Now, I used to just buy like cheap waders like Hodgman's or CABELA'S brand waders. And part of the reason for that is it's the Northwest steelheader's nemesis that we have so many blackberry vines along the rivers. And so I thought, you know, if I'm going to get a bunch of holes in my waders, I might as well get cheap waders. Well, what I found is I was replacing my waders every couple years. And so I started eyeballing some of the Simms brand waders, and I noticed they had this pair of Tributaries, and it's kind of their entry-level wader, and they're like 180 bucks. And I tell you what, I'm going on season 3 with them with no issues. And what's cool about them, and like I had previously mentioned about the blackberry vines, is with cheap waders, the front shin portion of the wader usually will have a couple layers of fabric, and the back have just a single layer. So what ends up happening is as you're walking along a riverbank, you don't see that one vine, and it wraps around the front to the back, and it ends up poking holes in the back calf area of your wader. When I used to repair those old CABELA'S waders, I would notice that when I had holes, they were generally in that calf area. Now, the Simms waders, the Tributaries, and this is my Simms waders right here. You can see the lower section of them actually has 4 layers of material, front and back. It wraps completely around. And I'll inlay some video up above just to kind of show you what it looks like when I actually have them on. But that material goes actually above the knee level. Again, front and back. And if I remember correctly, the top portion has 3 layers, which up here I generally don't have any problems with getting holes. It's always in the lower portion of your waders. So I should mention I'm 5'11", 195. These are large with booty size 9 to 11. Now I have a size 12 foot, but when I called Simms and I asked him about it, because I kind of didn't want to bump up to the 12, 13 foot, the guy told me, he's like, go with the 9/11, and what I've noticed is that they fit just fine. And I should mention that I wear merino wool socks. These are Darn Toughs with my waders. And so they're snug, but it's not uncomfortable. It works just perfect. So anyway, highly recommend Simms waders. I'm going to put links down below with all this stuff. I'll put a list in the bottom. And some of those will have Amazon links. Not that you have to get them from Amazon. But anyway, so Tributary waders, that's what I went with. I think eventually what I'll do is I'll kind of climb up the scale of Simms. Like the next level is the Freestone. I think they're about 300 bucks, and then it bumps up to the G3s, and I want to say that they're about 550 bucks. So there's the waders. So next would be a wading boot. Now I've been kind of a holdout. These are CABELA'S Ultralight wading boot. They're only about 70 bucks if I remember correctly, and I go with felt with the studs on the bottom. Ever since I started using the metal studs, I just wouldn't want to go back. Now I should say, if you're fishing at a drift boat and you're getting out and doing some wading, you don't want the studs, but for just basic wading, I would highly recommend it. It just adds a little bit of traction on the riverbank. Again, I wouldn't go back to not having studs. So next, if you're fishing in the Pacific Northwest for winter steelhead, there's going to be precipitation, usually in the form of heavy rain. So over the years I've had a bunch of different wading jackets, and when I say a wading jacket, this is what I'm referring to. This is the Simms guide jacket, and a wading jacket's basically just a waterproof shell that's short. So it comes right above your waist level so that when you're wading, you know, up to, let's say, your waist, you're not going to have your jacket actually in the water. So I bought this last year, been super happy with it. Again, it's a Simms. This is the guide model. It's a size large, which fits me well. The other cool thing about it, and most wading jackets has something like this, but they have these cuffs that are up inside the sleeve. They really can tighten down close on your wrist so that if you're releasing a steelhead or kind of having to get your hands a little bit down in the water doesn't just shoot up. So that brings up a good point. So in some of my videos, after I've taken my wading jacket off, you'll notice that I'm wearing these wristbands. Now, that's an old Bill Dance trick, and I'll explain to you why I do that. If you put these wristbands on before you put your wading jacket and you tighten that cuff down around that wrist strap, especially when you're float fishing and you got that rod tip high like this and it's raining, that catches that rain so that water doesn't start running down your sleeve. So I have a couple pair of these. The Under Armour ones are all nylon, so they dry out really fast and you can just wring them out and you can just swap them out, let's say, when you get back to the pickup. So moving on. I always cringe when I see people wearing jeans underneath waders. I don't know, that would just be super uncomfortable to me. So a number of years ago, I ended up going through a couple different types of wading pants. So actually I landed on these. These are actually LL Bean fleece wader pants. And you can wear them to the river. Yeah, you know, they're kind of dorky looking because they're tapered, but they're kind of a light fleece. And the bottom of them actually has a stirrup. And what's nice about that and the purpose of that is when you're pulling your waders on, your pant leg doesn't pull up. They actually have pockets so you can put your keys in there, and they have a back zipper pocket that you can put like a wallet in there. So LL Bean fleece wader pants, I'm sure other companies make them. That's the ones that I use. I've already explained, darn tough socks. Merino wool's the way to go. Even if you have like a little bit of a leak in your wader, you just don't notice it. If your feet are sweaty or you get just a little bit of water down in your boot, you don't really feel it with merino. So another thing that I bought last year and I absolutely love is I bought one of these KLAMATH hoodies made by LITE. This is a size large. It's kind of that grid fleece, so it's very warm. You can either wear it underneath your wading jacket, or a lot of times you'll see that I have just that on. And I always wear like a nylon like workout shirt as a base layer, just because I kind of want something in between like my outer layers and my inner layers. And when you shed all that stuff off, let's say like during lunchtime or something, that inner shirt can really dry out quick and you can just change outer layers. So moving on. So if you're wearing waders, you're going to want a wader belt. And the purpose for that is if you do end up in the water, like if you watch the Steelhead Gauntlet, you can see that I took a little bit of a dip. The purpose of a wading belt is, and you want to wear it snug, is if you do fall and you get water down into the top of your waders, it doesn't go all the way down to your legs. At least it doesn't rush down there. And it also offers just a little bit of buoyancy as well. So on my wader belt, I bring that up because I have several tools on there. The first, and I've got some questions about this, is I've had this pair of pliers, I'm guessing for like 10 years or so. And they're P-Line ADARO Juniors. They're aluminum. They've got stainless steel, claws. They have a line cutter. It works good for mono, not so much for a braid. It comes with a lanyard. So if I go and I take a jig out of a steelhead's mouth or hook out, I can let these go and I don't have to worry about losing them. So next, on the other side, I wear it on my left side, is I have a FOLSTAFF 50-inch weighting staff. Now what's awesome about the FOLSTAFF weighting staff, it's very heavy duty. You pull this out and it basically locks into place. And so you can use it as like stability when you're weighting, or sometimes I've used it when I'm chasing a steelhead I pull it out and I check depths with it. But very handy piece of equipment. It breaks down super easy. You can see it just folds apart. It comes with this holster, and once I break it down, just wrap this cord around it to kind of keep it together, and it goes back in that holster. This thing, again, is probably 10 years old. It still works great. Next, this is a leash for my net. Now, I did a complete gear review, and I went over my entire catch and release net system for weighting. So I'll put a link above for that if you want to go back and watch that. But so what I have on here is a pretty good sized carabiner. It's like a 2.5 inch carabiner. It's got a elastic leash with a second carabiner. Now I connect this to the lanyard on my catch and release net, which I'll show you real quick. It's just a salmon steelhead conservation net. It's rubber coated, and I actually have a magnet here, and the other portion of the magnet is on the back of my chest pack. So in my videos, and I'll put a little video clip above, I can have that on the back of my chest pack, and I can grab it off if I need to use it. If the steelhead runs again, I can click it right back on and keep moving. But I think it's really important, if you're especially fishing a river that's got native fish, to have a catch and release net like this. I prefer to tail native fish, but there's times, that's a whole different discussion, but there's times that it just makes sense to shorten that fight, get that thing in the net. When it's in the net, grab the tail, and I go over all that in the video so it doesn't thrash around, and so you can get that hook out and get it released as soon as possible. So those are the tools, and again, all the links will be down below in the description field. So moving on. So the next, probably one of the most important pieces of equipment for me, is my chest pack. Now, I've tried carrying tackle several different ways. I've used waist packs, old fishing vests, and sling packs, but I've landed on using a chest pack. And what this does is, once you have it on, it just keeps your gear up out of the water. And for me, since I'm filming all the time, this particular chest pack, it's an UMPQUA OVERLOOK 500. It's got this strap on the front, and it allows me to mount my GoPros to the front of that. And so that mount is just a mount like this. This is just a second one I have. It just basically wraps around that strap. This is also for backpack straps, but it's a GoPro mount. Now, I should mention, I also did a gear review on this for a lot more details about what this looks like on the inside. I'll put the link to that above as well. But this chest back system comes with two different back portions. One's like a backpack. It has a net holder. I can tell you it doesn't work for that net because that net's just too big. It's a 26-inch loop. But it also comes with this flat panel, and what I've noticed is this flat panel is plenty. Like, I usually keep a couple extra bobbers in there, some extra soft beads. I have a stringer in there, but those interchange, and it comes with both pieces. They're about $130 for this whole entire kit. Continuing talking about tools, boomerang tools. This is an awesome little tool. It cuts line. What I like about it is the fact that it'll cut mono, but especially that it'll cut braid. And I have one of these on every single one of my packs, just so I don't even have to interchange them. They have a retractor built in, and it just seems like they don't get dull. So it's like having like a little tiny pair of scissors, and so I would recommend one of these. They're about 12 bucks. If you don't want that big of a chest pack, UMPQUA also makes a smaller chest pack. This is the Rock Creek. I actually wore this on our trip into that high lake, and it actually worked out really good for just having like one smaller Plano box in here. As you can see, I got a boomerang tool in here. This one just has a flat panel in back, but it's just a little bit smaller profile if you want something just a little bit smaller. So as I mentioned in my intro video, I just got this last week. It's a Hero 10. I'll end up doing an actual gear review on the Hero 10, but the Hero 9 is what I have on my chest pack right now. The image stabilization is just incredible, and the Hero 10 is supposed to even be a step above. So I ended up getting the Hero 10. That's going to end up on my chest pack, and I'm going to use my Hero 9 as like my tripod or my secondary camera. But I'll do a review of the Hero 10 at a later time, but I'm looking forward to trying that out. Alright, so lastly, I figured I might as well bring this up in this video. This is something I added to my gear kit last year. Actually, my wife bought it for me for elk hunting. I had gone on an elk hunting trip by myself and she was concerned about me. But it's a satellite communicator. It's the Garmin INREACH Mini. They're 350 bucks. I know that's a lot of money. But with this technology, if you're somewhere where you don't have cell service, you can text, and you, more importantly, can hit the SOS button, which will contact Garmin, and they will let the closest EMS system basically know that you're in trouble. And you can pair it to your cell phone so that you can actually text if you're capable. But needless to say, I think this is a really important tool to have with you since the technology is available. And I'll tell you why it's really important to me. On one of my fishing trips last year, I was with somebody that's very important to me. I'm not going to mention who that is, but they had a cardiac event and went down. And I didn't have this with me. And I really regret not having it with me because I didn't have cell service. And I was in an area where I kind of have a little bit of cell service, but along the highway, I had no cell service. So I ended up having to run out in the middle of the highway, flag somebody down, please call 911, as I'm tending to this person. And I told myself at that point, I'm never going to go anywhere where I don't at least have this in the truck. And this easily can just clip onto a chest pack, whether you're hunting, fishing, or if you're just traveling with your family and you're involved in a collision or something like that. Especially if you're steelhead fishing on the coast, a lot of those drainages don't have cell service. So I just figured I'd mention this. And again, I'll put a link below. And what made sense to me was just to go with the $12 a month plan. There's a one-time hookup fee of 25 bucks, and then it's 12 bucks a month. You get 10 text messages for free, and anything over that's 50 cents. Like when I was in Wyoming, I ended up charging up about $60 in text messages with my wife, but it was worth it to me because I was gone for 12 days. So, but that's the only time my bill has gone over 12 bucks. So again, I think this is a worthwhile investment, and I'm not going to leave home without it again. So just to remind everybody, December is dedicated to winter steelhead season. New videos every Friday. I've already released the first one on December 3rd. This Friday, December 10th, is the steelhead that spooled me. So make sure to watch that. If it's past December 10th, go back and watch the steelhead that spooled me. I think there's something that we could all learn from that. But all these videos I'm releasing are from unseen footage from this last steelhead season, so March of 2021. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment field below. If I get enough questions this month, at the end of the month, I'm going to do a Q&A video. I don't care whether it's gear questions, technique questions, or just any comments in general regarding any of the 5 steelhead videos that I'm putting out on Fridays. If you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit the bell. That notifies you when I release new videos. And if I earned it, hit the thumbs up button. I truly appreciate everybody following along. So we'll see you this Friday, December 10th, with the steelhead that spooled me.